counter-attack. We picked up the boulders and threw them right back, and as we went over to give them some stick, well, none of us knew they could run quite so quick. They ran round the harbour and across the promenade, and these were the boys who were meant to be on.
After a soul-destroying fall from Greece, Stockport County are rising up again.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Scarf Bagara War, part of the Talksport Fan Network and in collaboration with Mentel, charity partner with Mentel actually, on this Wednesday evening, ready for the Euros, signings coming in. I'm joined by Jimmy Harmer from the Courtyard Club Call Fame. You all right, mate?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. Thanks, Russ.
Good. So for those that don't know, or well, patrons will know that Jimmy is a regular on our Courtyard Club Call that goes out every Monday during the season. So that deep dives into the match that's been played over the weekend. So if you're not a patron, it's definitely worth getting that for that. And we're delighted to be joined for a second time, I think. Don't think it's a hat-trick ball yet. It's second time. Tom Fletcher, you all right, bud?
Yeah, all good, Russ. How are you?
Yeah, not bad. His debut appearance was so good that we invited him back. So yeah, that's pretty good. Hello to everybody who's online. All the usual names are there: Simon Lomas, JK, Ian Dowden, PJRC, County 1883, Nick 10. Hello everybody, and if you've not subscribed and you're watching, please do think of that. Think of subscribing. It helps us enormously with the channel. Thank you very much. Right, tonight we're going to cover, we're going to try and cover some news because there's not much happening apart from a couple of signings, perhaps, in Jay Mingi and Jay Fevrier. I think we'll call him Jaden. We might as well call it the two J's. And then we'll talk a bit about England as well with the upcoming friendly with Iceland, and obviously the friendly that's just happened against Bosnia, and then the Euros kick off on the 14th of June, and then us shortly after that. So, Mingi, should we start with Mingi then? Let's I don't know, deep dive into Mingi. I say what, let's go straight to Tom. What do you know about Mingi?
Not a huge amount until we signed him. I know he played against us, didn't he? But from everything that's been said about him, I think you can usually get a good feel by going through social media of the club that we've just bought him from.
Yeah.
I know there was a lot of the Colchester fans were disappointed seeing go, weren't they? But they were understanding that he was probably destined for League One or potentially higher. So I think you can usually get a good gauge from that. So he's obviously done well there. He fits the profile as well that came out in Mark Stott's interview, didn't they? Young, energetic, potential resale value.
Yeah, definitely, Jimmy. Let's come to you next. But while we do that, Tom, you're stuttering a bit on your audio. The audio is not great. I don't know if it's something at your end or what. I don't know if you ever play with that while we go to Jimmy. Jimmy, what do you know of? Do you know anything of Jay Mingi? I know we spoke briefly about him last week. We still didn't know that much about him.
Yeah, I mean, I was super impressed with him when we played against them. I remember sort of saying on the yellow board that I just thought he was the standout player for them. He was bringing the ball forward from defence like really well, very athletic, very powerful. Obviously, got some pace about him as well. And it's funny. Because... Hello.
Oh. Let me. We got a big. From Tom now.
You've got some echo as well.
I think it's Tom. I bet it might.
Oh, is it? Okay.
When you're putting your earplugs back in, mate, that was lesser of two evils.
Sorry. So I was just saying that he's strong, pacey, powerful. He was definitely the standout player for me. I know some people were saying that Fevrier looked like a good player as well. That was when we were being linked with him, because I think we've been linked with him for about 3 weeks, haven't we? It's been no secret really that we've been linked with him. But I was happy when we got Mingi from Colchester, so that was good.
Yeah, he does. I must admit, out of the two, and I said this last week, I wasn't really watching the Colchester players. I don't really do that. Fevrier was the one that stood out for me, but Jay Mingi, I mean, some of his stats are pretty decent. He looks like a big unit as well, doesn't he? Brings it out of defence. And I have seen a video of him playing for Portsmouth where I think he scored actually, and sort of roamed out of defence to do that. He might have even been playing sort of right back or right wing back to do that. Got a comment here from Stuart Hope, who's going to be coming on the show pretty soon. Well, we hope, Stuart. Mingi's highlights show him spraying the ball about from the Crozy position, the Edgley Perlo. So high praise there straight away.
I'm not sure we've signed him though for midfield, have we? I mean, it seems that from what Dave has sort of said, it looks like he's potentially going to be like maybe an Ackle-Wright upgrade potentially.
Yeah, but didn't Ackle-Wright play central defence midfield 1 or 2 times and people scoffed at it? I know.
Yeah, he tried to for us, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure it quite worked. Tom, are you back, mate?
Yes. How was that?
That's a bit. It sounds a bit better. Yeah.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
One thing that I was interested with both these signings actually is that there was an interview a while back with Simon Wilson about how when they're looking at young players, one of the sort of key metrics they look at is first team appearances and senior appearances. And Mingi's played 49 first team senior appearance games with Colchester and Portsmouth as well. So I think that's a good sort of grounded, reasonably young age.
He's not that young though, is he? He's 23. I don't know whether he's 23 in 1 day or 23 in 364 days. Makes a big difference, doesn't it? But I mean, I don't know how many first team games. I hate even saying this guy's name because it's all over social media, but I wonder how many games Louis played, like whether we sign him or not.
We need to get a Louis Claxon, and a Wrexham Claxon.
Right,
98, I believe.
Yeah, it's the only time I say his name. That's it. Done.
Yeah, you're right. So he's 24 in October. Yeah, and I see what you're saying. He's only played less than 100 first team games across Maidenhead, Portsmouth, and Colchester, and Charlton in that as well. So for a 23-year-old, it's not a lot of games, but maybe we see something in him that others maybe haven't. And we're doing this. I won't say we're doing the Moneyball thing, are we? But we're definitely looking at all of the data, and maybe it's just an untapped resource that others have missed, and we're going to get the most out of him.
You do wonder whether we're sort of looking at a certain like physical attributes. It looks like it in the sort of players that we're looking to get. I mean, if you go back to that Papa John's game against Bolton, we should have lost that game 6-0. I mean, there are only 2,000 people in the ground, I think, so not many people would have seen it. It was a terrible attendance. But Jordan Smith played out of his skin. He probably got a 9.9 on FOTMob. And we should have been absolutely battered. But what they had was pace and power from off the wings. And I think that's why we've seen the players leaving that we've seen leaving, and why the players that have left, like your Paddy and Sars and Crowsdale, they're not getting League One clubs. They're staying in League Two because you can probably continue to play at that level with like the guile and the know-how, but not necessarily the physical sort of specimen of player that we are currently looking to sign. So
it's a really good way to look at it, that, Jimmy, isn't it? And he's got, and when you see players leaving like that obviously, as a fan, you grow quite attached to. Particularly for me, like Crowsdale, like such a good player and adds such value to the team. But when you do find a bit of solace in that, don't you? That they're not they're getting picked up by League Two clubs.
Yeah, exactly. And our coaching team must be thinking, look, if they've got the physical attributes, we can coach other stuff into them maybe, and that's maybe what we're seeing. We're seeing rough diamonds, and we're going to convert them into hopefully players that will either play for us for a long time, or we sell them for 6-7 figures.
Yeah. Well, hopefully 7. I mean, that's I think that's the idea, isn't it? So Mingi, just looking at his last season, then, I mean, he didn't play a stack of games as we've already alluded to. He played 28 games, but based on the sort of the stats and FOTMob, didn't really have a good start to the season. Got a red card against Forest Green Rovers. So that obviously that pumps your rating down whether you've had a good game before that or not. And it just seems like he was dropped a bit after that. But then when he came back after our 2-1 win against them at their place, he got a 7.7, an 8.1, a 7.1, and then an 8 at the end. Okay, there was a 5.8 in there as well against Doncaster, but Doncaster were flying at the time. I don't know. It just feels like all of a sudden he's come back into the team and he's had a really, really strong end to the season. And maybe Colchester were playing quite well then, and he's more suited to playing in a team that perhaps is on the front foot, playing well, getting up the pitch.
He was very keen to just push that narrative in his interview, wasn't he? As well, that he likes to be aggressive and carry the ball and get up the pitch, and so it's obviously something that has been coached into him somewhat, and potentially something that he thinks that Challenger wants to hear as well.
Yeah, I mean, there's a good comment by Daniel Davies. Apparently, we paid 500k, which, if that's true, I mean, I've seen 400 banded around as well, like on social media and stuff. So that is a decent chunk of cash, isn't it, to stick onto a 21-year-old, and yeah, let's hope that he's got it.
Yeah, I think we're getting mixed up here because we're still on Jay Mingi. Jay Mingi's 23, turning 24. Daniel Davies comments about Fevrier, which is 500k apparently. So I don't think we haven't moved on to, unless I've missed it. We haven't moved on to Fevrier.
Sorry, I thought you moved on to Fevrier. My fault.
Oh, right.
My fault.
Sorry. No, there's time for that. Slow down. Got another 45 minutes yet. Simon Lomas says he's a ball carrier that can be from right, centre back, or holding mid. He'll get us higher up the pitch and pull teams out of their shape, which is going to allow space for Fevrier and Barry, or a Barry type player, to exploit. I think Simon should have a go at coaching, or at least playing Football Manager. That's top notch, that, isn't it? But yeah, just to finish off on Jay Mingi, some of the stats. I mean, for a centre back and right back, looking at his player traits, 96% chances created. I don't really know what that means. Compared to other centre backs, you must create chances more than 96% of other centre backs.
Yeah, so if you had 100 centre backs all lined up, he's like in the top 4, basically, isn't he?
For chance creation,
I think. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Which is good. I mean, yeah. Again, he just looks like a big. You coined it, Jimmy, a specimen. So, so yeah.
Plus, I think he'll also be able to play sort of right side of defence as well. And we're constantly looking for multi-talented players. So Pi can play left back, he can play left wing back, he can play left centre back. And I think that's what we're going to be building a squad around, of players that can play in a multitude of positions, especially if we do get injuries. And I don't know whether anyone's looked at any of the injury records. I don't know, Tom, whether you've had a chance to look at Jay Mingi's injury record or not.
Nothing particular from, there's no huge gaps by the looks of things. He's moved sort of mid-season and stuff. But I think that, like you said, that is going to be pretty crucial, isn't it? If last season's anything to go by, we are going to go through spells of getting injuries and having to get by. Obviously, it'd be a potentially different story next year in terms of the pressure. But it's certainly something that we'll have to adapt to. And having players like Mingi will be incredibly useful, I imagine.
Yeah. Do you think? I guess this is a question for both of you. Do you think that having players that are specimens, should we say? I'll keep with that word. You know, physically stronger will probably get less injured less. I know last year I still think we were incredibly unlucky with injuries. But do you think there's a school of thought that you buy specimens, really strong lads, they're less likely to be injured in a tackle, aren't they? I guess that stands to reason.
Yeah, I think the muscle injuries maybe not, but you're right. If you're going in for a 50-50 tackle with someone, and I'm like 9 stone wet through, so when I played five-a-side football, I made sure that I wasn't going into tackles with anybody bigger than me, which was basically everybody else, because you do get injured really easily. Yeah, I mean, 100%. One would imagine that if we build a team of specimens, and we're continuing to use that word, we should hopefully kick teams off the park a little bit more than maybe we would do if we had some other players in there. I don't know.
Probably has some legs, that theory, Russ. Somewhere there'll be a sports scientist somewhere that could tell us. But I'm sure it does have some. Have some legs.
Yeah. I mean, just to do a dad joke. I hope he's got legs. I mean, otherwise.
And 2 of them as well, because 3 would be.
Yeah, ideally 2 of them. Yeah. That's the podcast title, though. A team of specimens, or whatever I can. Specimen County. There we go. Yeah, Specimen County. I like it. So that's Jay Mingi. Moving on then to Fevrier, Jaden Fevrier or Jay Fevrier. Now, this one for me slightly more exciting, especially when some of his stats are pretty impressive. I've got to say, from last season. So he played 60 games last season. He's 21 years old. He doesn't turn 22 until April. Next year. I had to work that out then. Sorry. He's not very tall. He's 175 centimeters. I know we're going to like uber levels of depth there for this show, but he's only 21. So last season, some of his stats are just really impressive. He played pretty well all season in a struggling team. And he had a sort of a patch in the middle around Christmas where he was performing incredibly well. And then at the end of the season, continued that. Again, he looks like a specimen, but he was played in a position maybe that he doesn't want to play. It was by necessity, right wing back, and now he wants to play further up the field in that sort of inside forward winger position.
He was very keen to say that in the interview as well, wasn't he? That he wants to get forward, and I think he got 10 goal involvements last year, which is pretty impressive, particularly from wing back as well. And he's obviously got a decent pedigree. Come from West Ham, hasn't he? With Mingi, actually. There was a bit of a sort of in between us, friend, sort of bit in the interview on there when they were sort of asking him if Mingi was part of the reason he came up, but he's obviously got a good pedigree. I think he won the Scholar of the Year at West Ham as well a couple of years ago. So he was obviously reasonably well thought of there at the time. So it's like you said, it's an exciting signing, isn't it? I did have a little look at the Colchester pages as well, Twitter and Facebook and stuff, just to see what the sort of consensus was there. And it was a little bit different actually than what it was for Mingi. There was a bit more mixed, I'd say. A lot of people were really positive about him, but there was a few comments about lack of sort of end products and that sort of thing. But if you've been playing out of position for a chunk of the season, then it's to be expected that.
If you look at him as well, I mean, he's basically 20, isn't he? I mean, you say 21, but he's basically 20. Any player that age is going to be inconsistent. I mean, like we've seen it with our youngsters in the past. And I think the thing with him is that because he has got an ability to dribble, I think I saw somewhere that he's got the lead. He's the leading dribbler in League 1 and 2. I think if you put everyone together, which is impressive. He's obviously got confidence. He's got pace, bit of trickery as well. The end product is something that can come later and will normally come later with these sort of players. These players that are coming out of like Premier League academies, unless like if they have got the end product, they're going straight into West Ham's team, aren't they? So there's got to be something there which is stopping them going into the team, and it'll be his end product. So hopefully if we can work on that over the next like 12, 18 months, we could have a proper player on our hands here.
Yeah.
That was also just, sorry, let's go.
No, go on. You go, mate.
I was going to say that was also in a struggling team as well, wasn't it? So if he's, he might be doing an awful lot, and it's chances in terms of chances created that aren't being finished. So
it'll also be why he's got mixed reviews from Colchester fans because if he is a bit hot and cold and his end product isn't that good, then some fans will get on his back, forgetting the fact that the kid's 20 years old.
And he's been playing out of position.
And he's been playing, good point.
In a struggling team.
But if we put him in a position he's comfortable in, and giving him a number 10, you're not going to be buying him as a right wing back, one would have thought. So it looks like he's going to be up there to cause chaos with Tanto and hopefully another fast sort of player up there, physical player up there. And it took Tanto a while to set a little bit of time to settle in as well, didn't it? But again, he had the physical attributes that we sort of are looking to get now. So he's also from London as well himself, isn't he? So you can imagine the three of them will sort of be living at Vita Towers in some flat in Manchester, basically having a great time playing like FIFA and stuff. So I wouldn't mind moving in with them. It'd be great. If you're listening, boys, can I come and move in with
you? I'll just read out what the club have sent out on an email. Actually, I quite like this. Actually, I think it's the first time they've done it. It's a welcome to County Fevrier, and it's a bit of a write up. So the former England youth international Jaden Fevrier's journey began in West Ham's academy at the age of 6, before going on to make his debut for their under-18s as a 14-year-old. A year later, he became the youngest ever player to represent the Hammers reserve side, before signing his first pro deal with the Premier League side in 2021. So he was a Premier League pro only 3 years ago. The academy product is capable of playing on either wing or at wing back, where he's often utilised during his time at Colchester. He made 48 appearances all competitions in a breakthrough season with the U's. I know I've just said a different number. That's FOTMOB. I'm guessing that's something else, maybe friendlies and things. I'm not sure. With his 4 goals and 3 assists, helping them to retain the EFL status on the final game of the season. Just going back to what you said, Jimmy, playing in numerous positions last season enabled Fevrier to complete 115 dribbles in League 2, at least 31 more than any other player in League 2, more than any player in League 1. So it's exciting, isn't it? And judging from Charlie's comment that he's put out as well, he sounds excited as well. And looking forward to getting him to play at Edgeley Park. This is the one that I'm excited about, by the way, if you haven't noticed out of the two. I'm sure there's more to come, but really does sound good, this one, doesn't it? Made more dribbles than, say, Jody Jones. Now, anybody that went Notts County away or watched it will know that we could hardly get the ball off Jody Jones. Well, in the second half.
I disagree with that. I think Connor had him in his back pocket, to be fair.
In the first half, they moved him over. They moved him over. Then we couldn't get the ball off him.
They did. Second half, yeah. They got them away from Connor. We should have put Connor on the other side to keep him there.
We should just but yeah, really exciting, that one. Really exciting, and I mean some of the numbers that have been touted. I mean, he always says undisclosed fee. I never know what to think about that. You hear the rumours, don't you? I've heard 500k as we were alluding to before. I don't know.
What do you think the reason is for putting undisclosed fees? Because surely all the other clubs, like in the league, will know what that fee is, because agents will talk and all this sort of stuff. So it's not like it's being hidden to sort of show that we're money bags or anything. I don't understand why you would do that. Can anyone suggest why?
Tom?
It's it's a new one on me. I never there was never a transfer fee paid for me when I played, so I'm not I wasn't too I'm not too privy for those, but like you said, one of my first instinct was, is it, are we going to end up paying a county tax because everyone knows Stotty's got a few quid and stuff. But like you said, everyone will talk, all the agents will talk, and the players, and it will be known. But it does seem an awful lot. I know he's come from good pedigree, so I don't know whether I'm just a bit tight, but he's it does seem an awful lot for a player with a reasonably limited first team games, and it's an awful lot out of the Louis Barry pot, isn't it, to go into that. So
that's a separate pot. Like that's like Mark Stott sort of personal play money, basically.
Do you think Mark Stott's comments of, it's almost like he's let us in the sweet shop, and now everybody else is telling us to get out of the sweet shop, or the toothpaste is out of the tube and you can't put it back in. It's like, honestly, I've seen it it's doing the rounds on social media. Everybody's talking about Louis, aren't they?
It's a good point, Russ, and you can probably imagine that Simon Wilson, when Mark finished the interview, he was like, Mark, what have you said that for?
Yeah, but it wasn't live though, was it? Maybe they should have cut it out. I don't know. But then it just seemed chopped up, wasn't it, and stuff. And yeah.
You could have just bleeped out Louis' name, couldn't they?
And like a little sort of rectangle across his mouth, so like lip readers can't see it.
Daniel Davies says, as I said before, Ben Burgess, last time we paid 400k, mind blowing. Yeah, I remember that. Did he come from Hull? I think. Do you remember Ben Burgess, left-footed striker?
Was it Hull or was it Blackpool? Or did he go to Blackpool?
Did he go to Blackpool? I know he scored against St Albans in the cup when we beat him 4-1. And then, strangely enough, years and years later, I went to a holiday camp near Verona in Italy, and there was Ben Burgess sat there, and I know he was a teacher at the time, because I think he left football, didn't he?
Yeah,
disgruntled, and he became a teacher.
Was he wearing like a full county replica kit? Is that how you knew it was him?
No, I just knew it was him.
Burgess on the back.
No, he had a sweater on without elbow patches because I knew he was a teacher.
Yeah.
Oh, Andy says he came from Blackburn he came from Blackburn. Okay. Yeah. No. Yeah. I can't remember. Maybe he did play for Hull at some point. Who cares?
I got the black right. Blackpool, Blackburn, almost.
Yeah, not that far either. Someone said far. Brentford, wasn't it? Blackburn is correct. We sold him to Hull. There we go.
There's a Hull connection.
See, Simon's showing he's a Swiss Army knife. Simon, and he can manage. He can also do podcasts. Come on, Simon. Come and I don't know why I've not had Simon on before. I know Simon. Okay, so that's Fevrier. There was a question before that I wanted to pull out, actually, that I've starred. Worsley. I think Worsley does the Hatters Hangout. Hello, Worsley. What other positions do we all think we need to recruit for? And if anyone says Louis Barry... So, Tom, where else do you think we need to recruit for? Clearly we do, because we've lost a few.
I think some of it will depend on where they see Mingi sitting, doesn't it, in the team. If he comes in and plays a right-sided centre half, then we're probably still looking a bit light in a defensive midfield role. Then potentially the striker as well.
Yeah.
Goalkeeper, however that looks, whether that's a young goalkeeper that's going to come in and challenge with a view to becoming a number one next year, and I think I put down a winger before February as well, but I imagine he'll come in on the wing rather than a wing back. So just centre forward, goalkeeper, Potentially centre half as well for a bit more depth. But again, I suppose it depends where they see Mingi sitting.
Yeah. There's quite a lot to go at, isn't there? Here, quite a lot we can go at. Jimmy, are you agreeing with that, Jimmy? Or
yeah, I'll agree. I mean, I think the other interesting thing will be where we end up playing Powell this season, because it surprised everybody last season how deep we ended up playing him. But I think we did that because we didn't have anyone who could progress the ball from that quarterback sort of position until sort of Camp sort of came into the side and sort of made that sort of position his own. But we tended to play quite a lot with the two defensive midfielders, and when we played well, we had Powell and Camps next to each other. So it'll be interesting to see whether we recruit a really good defensive midfielder, which will then release Powell to maybe play a little bit further forward. And if we've got these tricky or fast pacey players, Powell sort of feeding the balls to them, to the runners, could work really, really well. So yeah, I think he'll be the most interesting one next season. But yeah, I mean, all the other positions, you're right. We need a couple of goalkeepers. Would be nice maybe to look at another striker. We don't know how Stretton's going to do next season. He's a complete unknown for us in League Two. No, he did play some games in League Two the previous season, did he? Or has he been injured for two? I can't remember now. He seems to have been injured for ages.
He played a few. He's played a few for us in League Two, hasn't he? Yeah,
he played a few, but I think he had some injury issues in that first season in League Two as well, didn't he? He certainly didn't play like 30 games, did he?
He's almost a forgotten man, isn't he? He's for anyone with a sort of bingo card, he's like a new signing.
Yeah, but we don't know how he's going to do in League One, I guess. So with Wootton, Tanto, Stretton, who am I missing up front?
Wootton, Tanto, Stretts. That's it, isn't it? That's it.
That's it.
We need to get the pod squad sheet out, don't we?
Yeah. So I think we need a centre forward. Put it that way.
Yeah, we do. Yeah. And you can imagine some of these are going to be, I'm not going to say expensive, but they're going to be eye-opening sort of, eyebrow-raising signings, aren't they? They've got to be, haven't they? To replace what we've lost.
You'd like to hope that from obviously this could, you'd imagine there's going to be transfer fees involved, but there's hopefully been some a reasonable amount of wage budget that's been kept back from, obviously Paddy and Sars would have been on big money, wouldn't they? So there'll be a fair bit in that pot there to go out, and obviously the budget's gone up. And Stock said in his interview that we'll have a top 10 budget, whether that's for transfers or wages or probably both. So it's quite promising, really.
I guess there's still players also that are out of contract end of June, so there may be another sort of swathe of players that come to the market as free agents that we're potentially talking to the agents of now. Yeah,
it's the best time of year to play Football Manager, isn't it? If you're in the Football Manager game.
Yeah. It is, yeah. I'm expecting things to really sort of kick off in the next couple of weeks when that transfer window opens on the 14th, I think it is, on the same day the Euro starts. Just going back to what you said, Jimmy, picking up on what you said about Powell, that's a really, really good point, I think, and not to be underestimated. Getting further up the pitch with his vision and just the talent that he's got. If we've got better players who are intelligent enough and they play together and they get that, what do you call it? Like sort of dynamism together, almost like Evans had with him.
Yeah.
That's just frightening. That's going to be so good to watch, isn't it? It's just going to be so good to watch because he, some of the stuff he did last season. If we hadn't took him off on the last game of the season away, I think he did, because he was just absolutely taking the piss out of him. He was. It was so good.
I thought his injury record was good for us last season as well. He had 2 or 3 weeks out every now and then, but it's not like he was out for 3 months at any point, was it? So he was always there or thereabouts, available on the bench or just coming back from a little muscle tweak or whatever it might have been.
You certainly would have took that amount of game time at the start of the season, wouldn't you? If you got off, yeah, if you got offered Powell for that amount of games, you'd take it. So
Yeah.
we'd probably do the same again this season if we got offered the same amount of games.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. The word I was looking for was chemistry. Cheers, Oliver. Chemistry, understanding. Whatever synonym you want to pitch in there. Yeah, good stuff. All exciting stuff. Anything else on the club you want to talk about? If we remembered anything before we move on to England. Anything else? I did see one comment actually, maybe just to chat about. I'm not going to say who it was, but I saw it in the week. Somebody said, we need 5 or 6 more, otherwise I can sense relegation or relegation battle or something like that. And I threw my phone against the wall pretty much when I saw that. What do you reckon, Tom?
Obviously, the squad's light, sort of as we sit here now. It's not going to be. Stock's already come out and said we're going to have a top 10 budget. So the club aren't going to sit around and let that happen. So yeah, I wouldn't. I'm not too. I don't have many concerns about a relegation battle. Thankfully, I say this now. There'll be some Wrexham fan like bookmarking this one or something.
You just mentioned the W word, so I'll just go in on that. So, I mean, they've released 8 players as well, and they're doing something similar to us in that the average age of their departures is 28.3. So Ben Tozer's gone, Hayden's gone, Rob Lainton, who's 34, is gone, Jordan Tunnicliffe, 30, Luke Young, 31. So, obviously, they've not signed anybody yet. It'd be interesting to see what sort of tactic they go down in relation to their signings, whether they go 25, 26, 27-year-olds ready-made, or whether they go down the route of what we seem to be doing, which is trying to get the younger players. But yeah, we'll see what they end up doing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you think that's something that is obviously the formula that we're going for is obviously like younger players, and that's been fairly Mark Stock's been fairly transparent about that. But do you think that there's surely a case for some experience coming into that squad for the amount of experience that's left, and whether that's we've released players at 32, 33, 34, whether that's late 20s, 30, 31, with potentially a bit more leadership, a bit more experience. I think do you guys sort of share that? Do you think that there is a bit of call for that?
What in our
team, yeah.
Oh right, I thought we were still on Wrexham. Right, okay, let's shove Wrexham to one side. Yeah, in our team, definitely. I think you need a mixture anyway, don't you? And if you get rid of 2 players like Paddy and Sars, okay, they've gone down to League 2, which we're kind of happy about, I think, aren't we? That like you said before, Tom, and we said it last week and possibly the week before. I still think you need those experienced players to come in. And all they'll be is just experienced players at a better level, and then you sort of go up, and you need those experienced players with you. People are putting in the comments now. Powell's got experience. Camps to a certain extent, maybe not at that level, but the whole squad really could hang off Powell. I'm not saying one-man team and all that kind of stuff, but he still, for me, is far away better than anybody in this squad, unless we bring somebody in that eclipses him. But yeah, I think you need a mixture.
Has there been any? Sorry, Jimmy, go on.
It's okay. I mean, we've got Torre there as well. Horsfall's experienced as well, so there's a couple of experienced defenders there. How old is Noyle? He must be 26 or something as well. So another good age. I think the problem with getting that age profile of player in is if we're going to have to buy them out of a contract, they're going to be expensive, because that sort of age is seen as sort of the best time to get a player, isn't it? You've still got 4 or 5 years left before they hit their 30s or 31, 32. So it's just whether we want to spend any money in that area. And then maybe if they're coming out as free agents, why are they being a free agent at 25, 26? Is there an injury problem? They fallen out with the manager? I mean, I think it's less likely to get a free transfer at that sort of age, I'd say. So
there's a few sort of free transfer rumours doing limited, but there's a couple in there doing the rounds. Like Elliot Watt obviously is He's available on a free, isn't he, in a few weeks, and he's been discussed for that sort of defensive midfield role. And I've always thought he was a good player, really liked, sort of appreciated him, I suppose, from playing against us. And there's an interesting player as well, isn't there? There's been rumoured, Clark Robertson, who was in Israel, wasn't he, last year, and is now on a free transfer. But he's had a Scottish Prem experience, and he's played a couple of full seasons at League One as well. He was quite an interesting one that I sort of came across when I was sort of googling county rumours and who's available on free transfers. He's a centre half as well, which sort of fits what we were talking about. Mingi's going to be in a defensive midfield role.
Mm.
Wow, how old's he then? Is the lad from he's been playing out in Israel?
30.
Right, so good age. Well,
Yeah. He's played 65 Scottish Prem appearances as well.
Yeah, I mean, Cy Lomas has actually said that that Carlisle sort of been rumoured to be in for what, and I've seen
I've seen that
in other areas as well. And they're going to have tons of money. They've been taken over, but not just that. If they sell Branthwaite to United for stupid money, like United will probably pay, I don't know. If they paid 80 million for Maguire, it's going to be 70 million quid, isn't it? I think they've got a 10% like sell-on fee, so 7 million quid into the coffers. Thank you very much. So I think they'll be splashing some cash to try and get back out of League Two again. Yeah,
plus they've got investment, haven't they? I know they went down, as did sort of Birmingham. Both got big investment. I can see Carlisle sort of bouncing straight back up. Cy Lomas again says 12.5 million. He thinks he read if they went for 80 million. And you can kind of see it, can't you? Branthwaite to Everton to United for 80. That's not beyond the realms of possibility.
He set a dangerous precedent signing Maguire for 80 million quid, didn't they?
Well, yeah, fuck him. I mean, they signed. I hate both of the Manchester clubs. Who did they sign? What's the lad that does the dribbling? What's the lad that does the dribbling out? Anthony, yeah, and he can't. What was he? 75, 80 million? What's their recruitment like? It's just, I don't know. Anyway, that's a good one. That though, I mean, I've not seen that rumor. Probably seen all the others. Don't tend to retweet many of them.
It's probably absolute nonsense for us. Probably just
probably, yeah.
He's probably the Twitter equivalent of someone, some drunk in the corner of a pub, like talking to the wall on his own. But he's a free transfer, so he keeps that transfer budget available for other acquisitions.
Yeah. The other rumor, just before we get onto England doing the rounds, and it was probably an EFL. It was probably a lad in his bedroom tweeting by himself. EFL transfer news zone, that kind of thing. That Charlie had an interview with Birmingham City, and Sam Byrne came out and said, "Well, that's nonsense. I know for a fact he hasn't." And he went, for one, he's out of the country, and then he just got piled on about, you do know Teams exists and Zoom, people can have interviews. Yes, I know. so apologies for that, Sam, for sort of starting that off. But at the same time, price of success into it, you can understand. It's like Charlton, when was it, last year or year before, whatever, going to have interviews and things.
There's all sorts of rumours. I mean, I've heard one about Sunderland and Charlie now. I mean, he's going to be like any job that comes in the sort of lower levels of the Championship and upper levels of League One. His name's going to be mentioned because he's a bloody brilliant manager. So why wouldn't his name be mentioned?
Yeah. No, good shout. The last one then on rumours, Edward F says, what do we think of Joel Senior from Morecambe? Now, I've heard the name, I'll be honest. Sure, he's on a free at the end of the season. Seen him play a few times. I thought he was very good, and he fits the mould. I don't know if any of you guys have come across Joel Senior.
He's a name that I'm familiar with from Football Manager, although I've never signed him. But I think probably all frantically trying to get on football quite quickly. but they've made it quite clear, haven't they, that they want this sort of profile. So, and with a bit of League One experience as well.
Yeah.
Who was that other striker that Morecambe had on loan from somewhere? He was the son of a former player. Because I'd heard rumours about him, like
Mickey Mellon's son, isn't it?
That's it. Yeah,
he went up to Dundee, I think, or Dundee United, and couldn't get a game by all accounts. I think. So I don't know what he's doing now.
Michael Mellon, I think he's called, isn't he?
Yeah. That's it. Okay, let's move on to England then. Did you watch the Bosnia friendly? Well, I'll tell you what, you probably did, didn't you? Did you both watch the Bosnia friendly?
I've watched the highlights, but I've not seen the...
I watched the highlights as well. Sorry, Russ.
Oh, gosh. Right, okay. Well, did you... Okay, what did you think? I mean, before you answer it, let me just say something, right? So I go on Twitter while I'm watching football, and maybe I shouldn't. Look, everyone piles in on Southgate. That's a thing, isn't it? Defensive football and all this. The amount of people that say, I don't like watching England friendlies, they're boring. And I have to stop myself from replying and saying, nobody watches an England friendly to be entertained. It is pure football, blooding in players, looking at systems, looking at how they do in certain situations. If you think it's to be entertained, then maybe football's not for you. So
spot on. I mean, yeah, I can't say any more to that. Yeah, you're right. That's exactly what they're for.
Yeah,
certainly international friendlies that aren't for you if you want to be entertained all the time.
I think they're fascinating. That's the word I would use. I'd get rid of the word entertaining, and I'd say they are fascinating, because you are looking at how a player that's playing for Crystal Palace or for Brentford is going to play on the international scene, whether it's Bosnia or Germany, it doesn't really matter. International football is completely different to club football, and I love seeing like the youngsters coming in. How's Eze going to play? How's Cole Palmer going to do coming off the back of a season that he's had? And some will sink and some will hopefully swim. I mean, you can't judge them from 45 minutes against Bosnia, but you can't judge them negatively, but maybe you can judge them positively from 45 minutes. Because if they do swim straight away, you're thinking, hey, we've got a potential international here. That's what I would say.
Yeah, I cannot argue with any of that either. That's how I see it. So from the highlights, then, did anybody stand out from you as having a good game? Sort of impressed you? Maybe think about putting him on the plane, perhaps, because that's what it was there for.
Trippier was solid, wasn't he? Which is handy with Shaw being injured. It's looking more and more unlikely that Shaw will go, isn't it? I think. But which is a shame, because I think he always plays really well for England, and I think he probably plays better for England than he does for United in that same mould that Maguire does. So it's handy to see Trippier doing all right. He played on the left as well, didn't he? So so it's looking like that's going to be Southgate's go-to if Shaw doesn't make it.
Yeah, and I think Shaw's injured or just coming back, isn't he? I think that's a bit of a gamble. I've always wondered, I mean, Trippier must be that good at left back that he gets in ahead of Chilwell.
No, he's injured as well.
Oh, is he? Who came? Yeah. I'm saying that. I watched it the other day. A left back came on though, didn't he? Might be getting this wrong. I thought it was Chilwell. I've obviously got that wrong, but yeah, Trippier's a good choice at left back, even though he's right-footed. He does a good job there, doesn't he? And he's captain material as well, isn't he? He might not be captain when Kane's on, but I think he had the armband the other day.
Was it Ezri Konsa that came on at left back?
Possibly.
He can play at left back, but I mean, when you're looking at someone like Konsa who hasn't had much experience for England, you wouldn't want to be hanging your hat on him, sort of defending the best right wingers in the world, would you?
No, I mean you only go so far, can't you? When you play in the group stages, when it starts to get serious in the knockouts, you need your best out there, don't you? Absolutely you do. To say the ones that impressed me, I was impressed with Eze. Really was. He showed some really good strength in the first half, but he excites me anyway. When I see him play for Crystal Palace, I think bloody hell. I remember when Elise first hit, first sort of started getting the headlines. I was thinking, I hope he's English, but he's not. He's Nigerian, I think, because him and Elise play really well together. Eze impressed me. A player did impress me who I don't like this type of player. But it was Conor Gallagher. Now, I don't normally like that type of player, but he was going in for 50-50 slide tackles, chasing everything down right till the very, very last second. And I like that, especially, I like that in my teams, especially when they're playing for England. So there'd be two that stuck out for me.
It's that desire as well, isn't it? That you like to see as a fan of any club, but as a fan of your country as well, that the lads want to put the role in, especially in a friendly before, 5 days before the squad's announced for a major tournament.
Yeah.
So, it's good for that to come through. Especially, he's had a couple of good seasons, a couple of decent seasons now, hasn't he? And clearly, he's still fairly grounded and wants to prove himself at international level. So.
Yeah. Some people are saying that Luke Shaw's back on the grass, as they say. I just wonder if it's too much of a gamble to take him.
He's not played since February. Apparently.
Yeah. That is a massive gamble, isn't it? I mean, as good as he is, and I'd probably say he's the best left back in Europe, if not the world, when he's like fit. And I mean, he scored that amazing goal against Italy in the Euros final.
Yeah.
And we were all bouncing around, weren't we? Thinking, here we go, we're going to win this one. But I mean, there's not many left backs in like was it like the 5th minute or something, 5th or 6th minute that he was getting forward. Unbelievable. Yeah. But yeah, it's such a shame that he's not in the team, because it will mean that we are, I think, quite lopsided because of that, and the left wing won't be anywhere near as strong as it could have been. I wonder if he would have taken Rashford as well if Shaw had been fit, just because of their club sort of relationship that they've got. I know Rashford hasn't played brilliantly this season, but he is the sort of player that if you need a goal in the last 20 minutes, he can smack it from 20 yards out, and who knows, but there we go.
Yeah, he's got that in him, hasn't he?
Sorry, go on, Ross.
No, go on. Go on. You make your point.
If we do end, if he does end up taking Shaw and the whole and he does get injured or another knock or whatever, the whole system is going to end up having to change, and you might, a bit like we've had to do at times. We've ended up having to play free at the back, and with Hippolyte or Lemonhead Evans as a left wing back, and I don't think England have got a Hippolyte player, have they? So. Apart from Hippolyte, obviously. Oh no, obviously not.
It's a good point that England haven't got, from the top of my head, a player that could play as sort of like a slightly defensive, like right or left back, and then also that attacking player as well. They're either attackers or the defenders. If you look at the squad, there's nobody in there that, apart from Alexander Arnold, where he keeps on thinking that he's a central midfielder, and I just think that's asking for trouble.
Yeah, I think it is as well. I'm not comfortable with him there. Yeah, okay, he scored a decent goal. He can spray the ball about. Doesn't convince me in central midfield one bit.
There's no way he is picking midfield runners-up from good international teams. They're just going to run straight past him, and you're like, oh, they just scored because Alexander Arnold let his man go.
Yeah. So a couple of comments there is what I pick up on. So Nick 10, England, Watkins and Bowen not international class for me. I agree with that, actually. Tony not given a chance. Well, I put Tony behind Watkins personally. But that's probably a bit unfair because you're right, he's not really been given a chance. Just going back to what you said, Jimmy, Southgate, Nick 10 says dropped a clanger with not taking Rashford as a backup striker.
I don't think I'd take him as a backup striker, but more as like a left-sided attacker. That's where he plays his best. But we don't have anybody in that mould, because like if you stick Foden out there, you're sort of limiting what he can do. So who else is coming in off the left-hand side for England on his right foot?
Sancho. But
Sancho
Sancho's nowhere. Is Sancho even anywhere near the squad?
He's nowhere near the squad.
You
No.
see, but that's surprising though, isn't it? Because United ruined his career like they've done for a lot of players in the last 10 years. But he's gone to Dortmund and had a really, really good season again, hasn't he? I just don't see.
Did you see him in the Champions League final though?
I didn't watch the Champions League final. No.
Yeah, he was pretty sort of nondescript in the Champions League final. And to be fair, Borussia Dortmund played very, very well as well. They should have been 2 or 3-0 up at half time.
I think you reap what you sow signing for United, don't you? And I don't think that can be forgotten within 6 months. So I think it's sort of fair enough.
And a lot of players sign just for the money as well. It's like, oh yeah, we'll pay you 200. I think Sancho was on £350,000 a week. I mean, who is signing those sort of things off at Manchester United? It's bonkers, isn't it? And then they're surprised that they can't get rid of these players because no one else will pay them
that much.
that amount of money.
Another one from Nick 10, and I guess someone we've not spoke about yet, Branthwaite. Now or Brathwaite, is it Branthwaite or Brathwaite? Now I thought he had a really good game as well. I like him. I'll like him until he signs for United. Anyway, but he looked good. He looked good, to be fair. I think he got booked as well, but he did look good.
Yeah,
he's a good option if they go free at the back as well, isn't he?
Yeah, which Southgate does like doing, doesn't he? In fairness, but then he plays sort of Saka. Like he doesn't play wing backs, does he? He sort of has his 3 at the back. And then Rice a little bit in front. That's your 4 defenders effectively, because Rice sort of fills in like the little holes that are left by other players, and then he just plays like five attackers and those 4 defenders, and it tends to work pretty well.
Yeah, it's quite narrow from a defensive aspect, isn't it? And I think it asks a lot of the wider attacking players to get back in, but obviously he likes playing that, doesn't he? And he plays that on rotation. So.
Do you think that's because international football tends to be played a little bit narrower? You don't tend to see flying wingers as much in international football, do you?
No, you don't, do you? Get into the byline and cross it in and sort of falling over while they cross it in to get the cross in. That kind of thing.
It's so like sort of English or British, that, isn't it? The sort of... Yeah. I suppose you do get the odd exception. I think... Chiesa was a recent one for Italy who did. I think he did that. He got to the byline and crossed it in, but they're very few and far between. Yeah, I mean, we've not spoke about Grealish coming in off the left. Cole Palmer as well is another option. I think again he looked really good. I just like how not arsed he is, Cole Palmer. He just looks like I'm just gonna play like this, and it's international standard, you know.
You just know that he's not Mr. Penalty, is he? So you just know that he's going to step up. The commentator's going to be like, "Oh, Cole Palmer's not Mr. Penalty yet." Boom, keeper saves it. It's like,
oh yeah. And not forgetting as well, there's 2 Stockport lads in there. I know they play for the big 2, but Foden and Mainu. I think Mainu's probably going to go into. I think he should go. What we haven't got time to do is go through how our 7 who are going to get cut, because we're on an hour now, and that'd take a long time. So we're not going to do that. We are back next week though, and the week after, all the way through. And we're going to have some England podcasts. And again, just to recap for those who have not heard the news, we're going to have our mate Righty, who's going to be in Germany, hopefully. Internet connection allowing, live from the match, or certainly from before the match. That should be good. So anything more on England? Anything more to pick out from maybe the Bosnia game, or thoughts on the Iceland game before we wrap up?
We just watched the highlights, mate. So we can't help you.
Oh, love it. Right, cool. Well, I think we're just about done then, fellas. So we'll start to wrap up. We won't do getting the reses this time. I think we'll leave that for this week because I've not got one. I'm pretty sure Jimmy, you haven't, and Tom, I didn't even tell you this was happening, so it's not happening. Getting the reses.
Oh, no worries. I'll
save it for next time.
I don't think I've got one anyway.
Right. Okay.
I'm certainly not got to get in the international resa. So.
Getting the international reses. Love it. I'm having that. Cheers, Tom.
Yeah, no worries. All yours.
Hey, we could say I don't know, watching England highlights instead of the full matches could get in the reses, or just England friendlies could get in the reses. Maybe I don't know, because you're not entertained.
Yeah.
Nobody's entertained by England friendlies, so that can get in the reses. Good stuff. Right, let's wrap up. Cheers to everybody for watching, listening. Please rate and review on whatever podcast player you are listening to us on, and please subscribe and like and all those good things. It does really help us with the channel. And thanks to all our patrons. It really does mean a lot to us. You do get all these ad-free first, ahead of everybody else. So if you're thinking about it, it's £3 a month. So please do have a think about that. And yeah, I think that's it. I don't think I've got anything else to say. Maybe one more thing before I go. If you're looking for extra content over the June period, Gab Sutton is doing a full suite for every league club, a podcast, deep diving into them. I'm going to be on the one for obviously Stockport County, but all of the League One ones, if that's of interest to you, are through June. They've all got different dates. So it looks like it's somewhere between the 26th and the 30th, or 25th and the 30th. So do check those out. If you're not sure who Gab Sutton is, he's the one that got verbally abused on Twitter by, what's he called? Joey Barton. There we go. So if you've not seen that. So there we go. Jimmy, thank you very much, mate. Are you looking forward to the new season and getting back into the Courtyard Club call?
Indeed. Can't wait.
Lovely stuff. Tom, cheers for joining us as ever. We will get you back on at some point if that's all right.
Yeah, of course it is. Cheers, Ross. Thank you.
Cheers everybody for watching and listening, and we will speak to you very soon. See you later.